All right, viewers, now India has launched its annual Trishul 2025 Tri-Service Combat Exercise along the western border with Pakistan, bringing together the Army, Navy and Air Force for large-scale coordinated operations. The exercise integrates land, air and maritime operations with both offensive and defensive combat simulations. Over 20,000 troops have been deployed, supported by battle tanks, howitzers, attack helicopters and missile systems. Amphibious operations are being carried out off the Saurashtra coast, complemented by desert warfare maneuvers in Rajasthan. The Indian Air Force has initiated Maha Gujarat operations, deploying Rafale, Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters, aerial refuels, AWACS systems and UAVs from multiple bases. Simultaneously, the Navy has deployed frigates and destroyers for extensive maneuvers off Gujarat's coast. Complementary drills like Trinetra, focusing on electromagnetic spectrum, dominance and counter-drone warfare, are enhancing India's tri-service readiness and deterrence posture along the western frontier. Remember, viewers, now India issued a notice to airmen restricting airspace use over Rajasthan and Gujarat from 30th October to the 10th of November to accommodate the ongoing exercises. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh's recent statement has added a strategic edge to Trishul 2025. Cautioning Islamabad, he warned that any aggression in the Sir Creek sector would invite a response that could change both history and geography. Listen in.
साथियों, आज़ादी के 78 साल बीत जाने के बावजूद सरक्रीक इलाके में सीमा को लेकर एक विवाद खड़ा किया जाता है। भारत ने कई बार बातचीत के रास्ते इसका समाधान करने का प्रयास किया है, मगर पाकिस्तान की नीयत में खोट है, उसकी नीयत साफ नहीं है। जिस तरह से हाल में पाकिस्तान की फौज ने सरक्रीक के सटे इलाकों में अपना मिलिट्री इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़ाया है, वह उसकी नीयत बताता है। साथियों, भारत की सीमाओं की रक्षा भारतीय सेनाएं और बॉर्डर सिक्योरिटी फोर्स मिलकर मुस्तैदी से कर रही हैं। अगर सरक्रीक इलाके में पाकिस्तान की ओर से कोई भी हिमाकत की गई तो उसे ऐसा करारा जवाब मिलेगा कि इतिहास और भूगोल दोनों बदल जाएंगे मेरे साथियों। और 1965 की जंग में भारत की सेना ने लाहौर तक पहुंचने का सामर्थ्य भी दिखाया।
All right, I have my colleague Brian Thomas joining me with more details. Now, Brian, this is very, very important news coming in, a lot of muscle flexing happening. What more can you tell us?
Well, yes, India has kicked off its annual tri-service combat exercise, that is Trishul 2025, along the western frontier with Pakistan, bringing together the Army, Navy and Air Force for one of the most comprehensive joint operations of recent years. Very importantly, the exercise comes on the heels of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh's very stern warning to Islamabad over its military activities near the Sir Creek region, adding a sharp strategic edge to this year's maneuvers. Rajnath Singh also have cast a long shadow over the drills, cautioning Pakistan against any misadventure near the Sir Creek sector, and had said that any provocation would invite a response that could change both history and geography. Very importantly, the Sir Creek estuary also is a 96-kilometer long tidal channel separating Gujarat's runoff Kutch from Pakistan's Sindh province. That remains a decade-old territorial dispute and a flashpoint in India-Pakistan relations itself. Very importantly, this complementary sub-drills would happen, such as there would be Trinetra, designed to enhance electromagnetic spectrum dominance and counter-drone warfare capabilities, are also being conducted in sync, underscoring India's emphasis on network-centric operations and tri-service integration. Parallelly also, the Indian Navy has committed a fleet of frigates and destroyers for light maneuvers off the Gujarat coast, focusing on coastal defense, anti-submarine warfare, and even joint targeting coordinations itself. Even the Indian Air Force has also launched Maha Gujarat operation as part of the exercise, deploying Rafale and Sukhoi 30 MKI fighter jets, aerial refuelers, AWACS, that is the airborne warning and control systems, and the UAVs from multiple bases across Western India. Yes.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for all those details. And now I have our guest, Major General Sudhakar Ji, who's a defense expert, joining me on the broadcast. Now, Major General, I want to begin by asking you, this is, of course, a lot of muscle flexing. But is this a routine exercise that is done every year? Or should we read a little more into it?
No, Vishali, first and foremost thing is I wish to thank you for getting me on phone up. And secondly, as regards to the question which you are asking, I'm looking at, you see, these are all traditional set exercises, joint exercises, but we need to look at this exercise from the perspective of joining dots. Joining dot means what is happening around the world, globally, what is happening in the region, and what is happening in the national, around the country. Globally, we all know that there is a conflict, ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. 3.5 years or more have already passed by. There is no sign of coming to an end or any ceasefire. Middle East, it started on 7th October 2023. 2 years have passed by. And there is even no sign, although the peace efforts are on. 20-point peace proposal has been given by Donald Trump. How far it will go or it will last, it is anybody's guess or time will tell. Now, Operation Sindoor has just finished in the month of May, 4 days operations. This exercise, basically, as per my understanding, should validate the new concepts which have been found deficient or which will energize the very security apparatus of the India and be prepared to prevent occurrences of Galwan-like incident, Doklam-like incident, Pahalgam-like incident in times ahead, and alongside the lessons learned in Russo-Ukraine war and the Hamas and Israel conflict also should be factored in. So what are these issues? These issues are essentially driven by multi-domain operations. When you talk about multi-domain operations, people won't understand. What does it mean? A common man understands operations in land, in sea, and air. These are the three traditional historic kinds of domains. But there are new domains which have actually come into existence. For example, you have cyber, you have electromagnetic spectrum, you have a spectrum of space. Now, when you talk about cyber from 2014 onwards, between Russia and Ukraine, there are cyber attacks which have taken place. In the year 2022, the Mumbai, the city, experienced blackout number of times. People understood it to be outage, but it was actually a cyber attack which brought darkness to Mumbai. The northern grid of India has been subjected to repeated cyber attacks. People won't realize, they take it, this is a normal outage taking place. No, these are pre-planned cyber attacks taking place. In the year 2022-23, you had Indigo website, which was hacked. The controller of defense accounts of the armed forces, which actually issues salary, was hacked. Similarly, the AIMS, New Delhi, and AIMS are number of them existing in the country. The data, health data of very important personalities of the country have been stolen. So likewise, these kind of cyber attacks are taking place. Electromagnetic, you saw, we all of us have witnessed on 7th October from 6:30 morning till 6:50 or 55, 25 minutes of total blackout. And in that blackout, electromagnetic blackout means no senior or junior commander can speak to each other. No aircraft airborne or about to take off will have any connect or connections with the air traffic control. They can neither be guided for landing, nor can they be guided to actually take off or hit the destination they're planning to. They cannot launch a projectile or any kind of warhead to hit the target. So this blackout period of almost 25 minutes was used by Hamas to launch offensive.
Major General, I will just have to interrupt you because joining me is Group Captain V.N. Jha, former IAF officer. Now, Group Captain Jha, my question to you is, would you please explain to our viewers what we mean when we say electromagnetic spectrum dominance and counter-drone warfare?
Well, I was listening to the Major General. He was absolutely right in explaining all aspects all dimensions of this war. As far as the exercise Trident is concerned, it is something like, for the first time, India is working on the concept of theater command. Now, theater command is a concept which have not been put before Op Sindoor anywhere. Op Sindoor was the first time when all three services, Army, Navy, and Air Force, all these three were working in tandem, all together, working on the concept of how to engage the enemy with the maximum of the impact that could be there. And that is what, usually we have that annual exercise all over, all these years we have been having it. But this time it is something new. Caution, the hints I'm just giving to you, caution given by Rajnath Singh ji, caution given by the Air Chief, Army Chief, that if Op Sindoor 2 takes place, it will be a very severe punishment, a very severe blow onto the nose of the enemy. So in that perspective, when we see that the war is usually fought by these three services in these three dimensions, but there is a fourth dimension as well. And that is what Major General was talking of, the electromagnetic spectrum as well as the space. We have got very important space assets. And when the space assets are used for whatever purpose, the last time when Op Sindoor 1 happened, we have used that space asset in tracking our missiles, in hitting the targets. And that live video has been taken by our space asset. And space assets are used for many other purposes, which is much more than this video alone. Space can be used for detecting everything that is happening in the combat zone. And that is where we put this exercise, we hold this exercise and exploit the capability of those space assets to the maximum, even though if it is only for the purpose of imitating any of the enemy weapon coming towards us or our weapon going to the enemy territories. So I welcome. This is something that Pakistan is worried about, because India has now developed assets which is much more capable than anyone else that Pakistan can fear about. So Pakistan has got a reason to fear about. But remember, this is being held in the vicinity of Sir Creek in the ocean, in the vicinity of the Pakistan border. So Pakistan has the reason to be fearful about it. It is not being held anywhere else, not on the northern border. China is not to be given, lesson onto this. But they are the exercise wherein we synergize all our capability into inflicting maximum damage onto the enemy, whosoever that enemy may be. Now, one enemy who can be approached by air, ground, as well as the sea is, of course, Pakistan. It could be anyone else tomorrow if the threat comes up there. So, see in that perspective. And,
Sir, I'll have to interrupt you because we're running out of time, but I'd like to thank both our guests for joining me on the broadcast today. And viewers, now moving on to some more breaking news coming in. A 35-year-old international jiu-jitsu player, Rohini Kalam, who proudly represented India at the